Hello, this is Gerald Theo van Was. In the previous video I explained QUOI, the Chinese word, and it is very different from, for instance, a French word, which is quoi, a little bit different tone, also different intonation, a different direction, but the sounds are the same, so it should somewhat express the same orientation. And it needs a bit explanation of context, how you should understand the meaning of the sound combination, and therefore we have to dig deeper into the difference of that uncertainty principle that is expressed via the sound K, which you have as K, which you have as C, and which you have as Q. And these are different levels how you approach it, and they can be used differently as well. And I will explain them to you via explaining, let's say the order of ATK, the first three letters, where that uncertainty principle comes in, and how do you sense that uncertainty, how you compensate that with the letter W, and how you can do something with it in the letter Q. All of that will be very clear after this video, and I will give you more attention to words like ka, to qua, and of course at the end I will also compare it back to the previous word and see where the differences lie. And therefore we have to explain a little bit again how the basic principles of why do letters have a real foundation of orientation, of direction, why they have a meaningfulness. How does that come? It's very much related with how we organize our mind. Everybody knows up, down, and so on. These certainties into two are always certainties. In these dualisms, it's kind of certainties because it's like here it is one thing and it's the other thing. Yes, no, it's all actually all elements that can be a yes or a no all the time. The 1, 2, 3 directions our distinctions are slightly different. There is that uncertainty in it, and so you have to adapt. You have to have an automated organization principle that works there, and that's why our mindset works very well in the 1, 2, 3 distinctions. These 1, 2, 3 distinctions fills the things in a little bit like automatically. When we look at the world, we also distinct always three things, three regions, three differences. As I explain it here in these three colors: the blue for the space, the green for things that are more to the left and to the right, like you have that also in timing, and to a background, a contextual, bigger frame also that gives you different approach to see the things there clearly. And I will explain them with the first three letters mostly how that works. First in theory and then with an example to make it very easy. So basically we look for an object in space. If it's just in space, very easy. You see it immediately in front of us. You can see that in two kinds of projections. Both projections see the things slightly different. This is from our vision, how we see the differences, and that is how it has been projected into the world, how we see, there is the object just in front of us, it's in space. That's the first experience. Okay, let's complete a little bit. So in the background we have that color brown is a bit like, this is the Earth. So you can see it, from two angles, the same thing. So from our perspective, from the eye, it's the objective that we have to pinpoint something in space into space as an object. Also, we pinpoint our focus onto an object. This is the letter A. Very easy, the easiest letter to understand. It's that objective that we define in this way. And there, within the letter A, we define everything which we consider to be certain. Yes, we have it, I see it, it's there, that's an object, that is an object, that is my subject, object, and so on. It's that perspective which in a way is very straightforward It shows a horizontal view. We can use that idea later. Horizontal view, we go immediately towards it, directly to us. In the perspective, it's very easy. You have that perspective also in front of you, but it's in a way it's a path which goes straight forward in that way. Horizontal. It's a bit relative, but it's one direction which is associated with that horizontal angle. Actually, all that is in front of you, that is confirmed, that can be noticed, is related with that idea of a horizontal view, which is of course relative as well, but you understand where it is. It's also the horizontal plane in a way as well. Everything which is there in front of us, what we can see, and within that frame, that it's defined there. We will compare the ATK, so horizontal, vertical, diagonal, as foundations in space, and that makes it easy to also add the extra idea of the concept of certainty or uncertainty in the three positions. But here, very clear, we seem to have a certain principle here. We seem to have something that we are sure of that we have, and so on. When the object is not directly in front of you, as you have here in the example, yeah, okay, what do we have to do? I give the eye a different color. We need our two eyes. We have to move our eyes. We have to move towards the object. It's somewhere else. Our vision, we are already aware that we have to move our focus and follow up our focus, follow up a certain movement in time as well, if we really do that even more profound. Anyhow, we follow certain idea of movement already, of timings that we can follow there as well, and changes. That's the move. That idea is already immediately when the focus is a bit off, that move is already playing around in the background, even though we're still focusing upon space and find direction. That direction is moving in a different direction. We move our eyes. That moving is related with time. Solely seen from space, so what is in front of us, that's that horizontal. We now also include, yeah, okay, but we deal with a larger area. It becomes a two-dimensional frame. In that way, we also move not just everything on the flat plane. We also have to move our eyes up, not just to the left and the right to make the distinction. We also move it up. The most important association that you have there is the vertical. That's that gives the most attention, because the way you see the difference, how far is it away from me, where is it? Vertical will be more important than horizontal. Horizontal is associated with confirmation. Here it is a first idea that, okay, I could have been not so certain, but here I give it extra certainty. I have an extra dimension here. I can see it into this two-dimensional frame. And most of the time I also include not just the flat plane, but also use an up plane, so that I have that two-dimensional focus towards what I really see, and where it is I can see it within that frame. And that's the letter T, the next letter. After A, it's the letter T. This is still a focus from space up like that, but it also connects to that time frame, the time frame of changes, of moves to the left, to the right. It starts in the spatial frame. I can also analyze why the word time starts with T, which is basically also in space, but ends of course with the letter E, which is timing. Not going to explain that now, but T basically is always related with space. It will be more clear in my example. So my vision moves a little bit, and it moves a little bit up, and I have it. There's a range, and that's the thing that we realize that there is a range of what we can see clearly. It is still possible that something within that range is no longer, the range that we can see, it's no longer immediately visible. It's getting out of range, and therefore we need help to guide us a little bit. If we can't see it immediately, It's as if you ask for help for someone else, to someone else's perspective, to get more into orientation, to get more context. That's it. That's the third eye in a little bit. It's like oh no, there are more options. Where can I orientate myself? That's the third distinction. These are basically the three distinctions. One eye, two eyes, three eyes as well. You can also see them like that. That you need to get your focus together. The third orientation also is related always with the third dimension as well. So you had already horizontal, vertical, and basically seen from space you only need the vertical to more or less see where the things are going, or where more or less can I still find it. But basically, if you can't see it very well, we need that extra also third kind of frame. So you already had with T a possibility that it could help you to use time to see, but how far does it go, how much does it change, and so on, at the time aspect to guide you. Here we have in the background the context, the third distinction, the context, the feedback system, the third party, which the general rules and so on that will guide you to say, oh no, it's over there, and I will tell you where more or less it is. When we lose our viewpoint, of course. But if it's already far away, but you can still see it from one focus, from the spatial focus, then of course this third angle, the diagonal, is not going outside our view, it's still within our view, so we can still consider it, okay, we can keep the first focus, which is space, which is the first area of distinction, space, then time, then context. We can keep it within our space. So let's keep it also within our frame of possibilities to also frame it within space. That means we will not use help for the timing or the changes or to define that. We will not use help to get the perspective right, to get the extra orientation, to get the context right. It's there, it's available, but we will not do that. We just say, okay, move to where did it move to, and we more or less try to pinpoint it, and we can do that from space. That means we can keep our focus within the three dimensions of space. And we simply use the vertical after the horizontal, diagonal, I mean. But so after the horizontal we have the vertical, and then the diagonal. Here is the diagonal, which gives you the angle where you can still see the object. It could be moving away, it could be only partly seen, so that's already a slightly doubtful localization at the end of our spatial localization. But we still can do that, and we will do that with that third position, which is the letter K, of course, as well. And let's have now an example which is much more clear. I will take the same object, but we'll put it into a different frame. So I'll put it away from my frame that I can't see it from one frame, and I need the other frame to get it a little bit more perspective. How does that work? Again, with the three letters. And then we can pinpoint the letters and the difference between the letters much more easy. So we have that object within space there, our range of focus within three dimensions that I can see. So here's the object. If I can see it 100%, as you can see from my position onwards, from my eyes, when I think, oh yeah, I can see it, I have it, I know it, I understand it, that's then you can say, okay, I understand the object, and I understand it completely. I see it completely, I have it, and that's the letter A. You can see here's the letter A, and you say, within my perspective, from what I understand, from what I see, I can see it completely. With the letter T, it is the object moved a little bit. Okay, you have to be a little bit more specific, and I say, okay, I can see it. I have to be a little bit more clearly. Where is it actually? It's not in the middle of my viewpoint. It's a bit further away. There's a certain distance. This distance is defined with, that's why you need the vertical, of course. So with the vertical, you see how much the distance is. You can define it a little bit better. And that's the letter T. There it is, with the vertical. Fits also with the letter T, by the way. The vertical from space. When it's even further away, it's a bit at the edge of my understanding of my what I can see. I can hardly see the limits, how much I can still measure it and limit it. Then you need, of course, the diagonal, of course, and that's the letter K. You can even recognize in the letter, and it is using the vertical viewpoint. Why do I have these three letters again? Because there's also that uncertainty principle there in 3 levels, and I have to explain them now better. In the K, if of course, here it's just a diagonal vision, and that's it. But this uncertainty principle I will explain better now. The 3 positions that you have there, and starting points, 3 kinds of starting points where we need to pinpoint it better, the horizontal, the vertical, or the diagonal, to have a more clear vision where it is. When we really start from the object, from the center point of the object, and we say it's really fully within our range, we use the A. You know that already. But just have a look if you have that. If you put even just a circle around that object, right, so we think we really grasp that object because it's in the middle of our focus. But is it within our range completely? If you look at just the circle where it is, it's not even completely in the focus. It's just parts fall off. We don't realize it immediately if you see from one your vision. But it could be that maybe there is a certain range from what we understand is maybe limited, that we understand it only with a limited range. It's centered, yes, we use it. We use it actually a little bit more prematurely. We use it as a definition, while maybe we don't even see the full thing as it is. And so maybe we can't even fully grasp its range. It remains, and that's what people don't understand when they start to think. We actually use an estimation first. That's our starting point. In A, we use an estimation first, a direction towards a definition. And we use it already, but we use it actually pretty prematurely. It's a kind of bluff, actually. So when we start to think, actually the first thing we do automatically is using a portion of bluff. We pretend to understand things simply because we are already using it. And I notice that also when I have not so great levels of conversations on Facebook, for instance. We immediately notice from everybody, even from myself, I immediately start to use what you have, what you know, even if you don't have really a clear definition, before you even have a clear definition of what the other says, of what you says, you're already doing something with it, and in that way you think you can do that, but that's not the way to understand persons, of course, because then people will not understand you, they will not understand the other one, you will not meet each other. The only thing you will notice more and more is these differences of focus, and the range of focus is already different. That's immediately clear, and that's also because these ranges are not so well defined to define also like I understand it up until here, and so on and so on. I'm not going to discuss further about that because I was talking about where do we have the letter A in our perspective, how does that work? Can we be certain? Yes, the next letter is about make the definition, make the borders, make what you can see, just define what you can see. if you define what you can see, you see your range where it is. So when the object is a bit further away and you see that, you say, okay, I see the object until here. You have the material position, you have the position itself, you have the functionality, you know until where it works, until where it will no longer work. So we estimate the full range of our scope of vision as well. And then we use a more clear language. We go to the definitions, we clarify the divisions, because here we say, this I can use. This is a certainty principle. The certainty principle is not in A, that is our way of thinking. It's not a certainty principle, it's an estimation principle. In T, it's the definition principle. We go to the certainties. While A was less than 1, T is exactly 1. So that's a useful letter for making definitions of functions and so on. With the K, again it's getting out of range. And here we're going to realize where the T was the certainty principle, K is the uncertainty principle. Because here we can already we can see its position via estimation. We know it's an estimation, but how far it goes, it's immediately clear. Yeah, it's getting out of range as well. So we can only estimate it, and we know it's an estimation. It's a dangerous territory that we lose our focus if we don't pay attention. So it's actually asking more attention and try to get more attention to us by using the letter K. So ATK, the other three positions. With A, we think things are sure. With T, we check what is certain and what is not. And by K, we realize the uncertainty. That's the balance, which is also in the principles of 1, 2, 3, always and everywhere. But okay, we go to the distinction in the comparison to the different letters K, C, and Q. So basically, how we see the reality, the starting point of our own objective is that we start from that one eye and we go towards an objective in space, in the physicality, and we focus upon certainty. That's where we formulate our own visions and opinions and whatever on that first level of visualization, what there is. It's the first level also of 1, 2, 3 distinctions. And what do? We push our own opinion forward, our personal vision, our understandings, we push it forward as if that's what creates the world. This first perspective could be a very bad one, or could be a potential one, as when you understand it's just an estimation, it's potential one, but it is a direction from the ego, from the I, from the pusher as well, from the opinion, also from the thinker, and from the speaker. The speaker in language does that as well. So he speaks out, that's what I see, and from there on you can do something with it, or you can rearrange it, and so on. You can develop it as much as you can, but this is the first viewpoint, only the first level of distinctions only. And it looks into space, into the physicality, and into the first certainty, into the confirmations, and that's the grounding. And it thinks it is sure, but it's also practical, because we need some starting points. So it actually defines, okay, this is where I start from. A good starting point, a bad starting point. It's simply the starting points where you start from when speaking a language, speaking words, when talking. The next level, or the second perspective, brings you immediately to these changes. Oh, I see that, it's somewhere else. I started to make a distinction between one vision, and you see that there are two visions, and both of them say, I have the facts. So it's my facts, your facts. And you see the differences. And that's a point, the second part of the timing. It is balancing the things out, but it's not doing anything. It's just watching what is going on there. and you see these facts that they are different, yours and mine, and there are changes and timings, and there's one timing to go there, there's another timing there, there's another evolution there is another moment there are different directions. That kind of area is a second one. It's just going on. That within the usage of two eyes, of two directions, that's the learning process as well, which is lying there as the second distinction. It's also the basis for all the conflicting differences. You can see all these conflicts, and you also see that there with the W and the Z. You have the push from the feedback system and the push from your opinion or vision or understanding, which go into different direction, and in the middle, within these timings, the difference become clear. And the W actually is the last letter, which can still sense the push forward. And the Z is already the push backward. So you have a push forward to the outer world and lingering on, and no longer have that energy to push further, and that so you can sense, okay, but what do I have left? And that's the second question. What do I have? And the Z is getting a feedback process back in towards its inner conditions. It is like the Z of the bees, which is getting the feedback from the system outwardly, balancing this out, and see where it can use the things still themselves, what it experienced from the feedback system, from the pushing backs in a way. That's the difference between the W and the Z. You can understand them in the middle of these balancing out very well. Okay, now the third perspective, what is that? That's of course the pushing. Now you have the whole pushing back towards you when you don't have a very good idea of how the world is. You could have seen in the second position, where are things really going? What are the conditions? So you see these conditions even without doing anything at the third level. It's all about pushing back, the feedback back. You're going to fix all what has been uncertain, what has been not so correct. You need to find a fit, and this uncertainty finds a fit at the moment. So there's a general rules, and at a certain point it will have a local rule, and it will meet the conditions, and these conditions are our conditions, are everyone's conditions. That's the third process. In the end, and I show it with the three eyes. It's pushing back until you have a new idea. Here I have something I can use in a contemporary way, meeting our conditions, not just my conditions, but our conditions from both of us. That's that third level. Okay, now for the letters, I have to go to the letters as well. So the uncertainty principles, where do they start? We know we already start from what we push forward. We learn in a way by choice and making choices, and by a certain degree of ability, of consciousness, how much you already realize and notice, and are also willing to see what's going on, and to define the things exactly as they are. So that's with this bluffing, it is a bit difficult to do so. You have to go then to the moments of certainty and meet also the moments of uncertainty. The first uncertainty moment, you know it already, that's the letter K, where you're at your own borders, your own limits in space. And here it's again, these three distinctions are the three different worlds. So immediately when you have this diagonal direction, that you say, okay, I was bluffing a little bit at times. I saw the space in front of me. I thought I understand everything, but in a way, it's all what you see in space. It's a probability that it is correct. You're not sure very well. When you can only define them when you start to compare it, and compare it to yeah, let's say the contradictions that you meet into the second distinction, into the timings, and the uncertainties you see even much more clear in the full context, and there you have to make such a selection that you also have a temporal feedback that that you go back to what is reality, to the very good definition at that moment, which is at that moment is correct. So these three levels again, but we start from K, so this uncertainty, that when we go to the diagonal, you see it has this whole range of, okay, my borders, my range of what I see is a bit uncertain. Can I still see it? Can I not see it? Do I see the direction? Do I not see the direction? Do I see the context? Do I not? So say everything immediately in the diagonal section is already uncertain. It's then the basis of that uncertainty is of course first in the first region, in space. So we have an uncertainty of a position in space is the first element. And that is defined by K. And we know it of course from the word ka, which is just question mark. In Japanese is much more than question mark. On the physical level, how do you define uncertainty? Well, uncertainty translated to space is what? What is it? What? What? Not more than that. The question itself. So after the bluffing, we open it up. After finding some definitions, there are some things we don't have a definition, and we just add a question mark. The openness, and this goes towards trying to find out, having some extra attention. Okay, what else do I need? You don't know itself, but you stay focused on the object and the objectivity, to keep an objectivity there. That's the first level of the letter K of the question mark, of the uncertainty principle, is of course first in space, in the physicality. It's just the question, what is it? The next time when we meet the sound K is at the letter C. And the letter C is at the last level of space. So it's actually a more refined definition of at the borders of our understanding. So we go actually to the diagonal place and use it as a foundation. Okay, we start from there. So we know already, okay, it's a little bit more fun. So we know already direction, we know the diagonal direction, and there we go forward with. But it's actually a division in three also. So you have a starting point, the C, which I have there in black. I have that doubtful thing that I don't know, maybe there are some things that does work and other things that does not work. I go for the things that work. You stay from space, you stay from your own opinion, your personal vision, and you follow what you think, okay, this might work. You make that decision by comparison. It's still not decisive this will work well, but it's a way of comparing, of estimation, and in this way you know your estimation, you're estimating everything. It's not just bluffing, it's estimating. So you try to estimate a little bit better. So you restart your starting focus at C. The third time you have a starting focus. At C, after A, it's just your opinion. With U, okay, you deal with differences, and with C, okay, you deal with all kinds of differences that are possible wherever it will lead, and you start from there. It's a more subtle approach to the physicality, to what you can follow. You can follow yourself with your estimation process. C is about estimation almost, but it's not used as a question mark. It's an approach of how far can I go and see if I can still use this to estimate. Well, the C, I don't know if it's ever used as for the questions. The K is the question itself. What? Question mark. And with the C, we know it is about an activity of I'm open to changes. I'm going to be open to change. And if I really want, I can dig into what is changing, what are the results, where are the yeses, where are the nos, where are the feedbacks. it's not guaranteed that you do that. So there's not much question in there. You just have a starting point. You can do a lot with it, but if you don't, you may not even come to something great at that point. So there's no question mark there. It's just a starting point from physical space with a little more subtle ground, with a real grounding again after K, which didn't have a grounding. With C, you have the doubtful place with a little bit more grounding, so that you can give it more profound attention. But that's not focusing upon uncertainty. K was focusing upon uncertainty. And what you also have as a letter which is in questions quite often, like the W, like in why, what, who, only written there, but and how, it's all with the W. And the W, I already told you, it's in the middle of the system. It's this feedback process that is starting to happen, because it's the feedback of it's the end feedback, let's say, or end effect from what you pushed forward, what you are approaching, and so on. And you no longer have the power, because it's a balance in yin and yang. In A you have the full power, I decide. With the W you don't decide anymore. It's at the end of your decisions. You just follow it up in the end, and see, okay, how far did it push forward? And you dig slightly into this frame of uncertainties, and you see, okay, what can I still do? What can I still do at this point? It's at the end of my push forward. What can I still do? What is still lingering on, in your opinion and in my opinion, a little bit in a combination, in communication, in the timing process from start to finish. Follow it up for a longer time, from person to person. It's both of it with W is also used for we. It's as far as we together can sense all the pushes going from one direction, and are handling actually all of its after effects. That's the W, and that's why W is also used for the question marks as a helpful tool, because that's the sensibility. That's how we do and act with that. That's how we try to sense what's the effect, what's the balance, and so on. So that's how you use the W. Okay, go to now the third level. So there is a push from underneath, and there's a push from the feedback process, and from full reality we get a feedback process, which at the third level of context we will sense 100% how that works. And starting to check for context, we can also do by checking how that works in our common space for we. But the letter that expresses the K on that third level, it exists as well. So we start from space, from our own space, from our common space, from our general space, from how we together can sense what is balanced, what is not balanced. A starting point with the letter K as still as it's breaking up. It's breaking up, but it adds the letter W immediately. We immediately sense, okay, something is breaking up. What does that keep the things together with the W? What does that keep together? And we immediately go to that common ground again, space, the cooperation again with W. It leads to that cooperation, not from one person to the next, but within a common context in that third level, a common context to look for applications. That's what the Q does. Conclusion, this Q is not used for what are the things, but it actually also adds that question mark to the next level. What are the what context do all the contradictions have between the two pushes in two directions? what does the feedback process itself says, that what kind of common ground we have, what kind of foundation we have. So Q with U combined, or with QUOI combined, basically says we look now for a common ground in space, the U. The U says it's a reflection from what I can find, which is developing, and with the word I can sense what is related, what is pushed forward from what I think, and which is still lingering on, though you know that already. So here we find with Q, which you can find in a lot of words of Q even, and question mark, K, QUOI, all these things are also checking out this common ground in context, what we can do. So it is really looking for a solution, which is a very good comment. It's really looking for a solution. K is not looking for a solution, it's just having a question mark. It's not looking for a solution. If you don't look for a solution, K is a destructive force. The Q will not be a destructive force. It will immediately lead to what is needed. Why is QUOI in the Chinese word so different? Not only, okay, it's associated with K, U, and A, both of them are expressed as QUOI. One more with a tonal difference, an intonation difference, but both are QUOI. The QUOI, as you can see there at the right, is pushing a little bit the incomplete picture that we have, the U, incomplete picture, to such a level that it says it is useful for a common ground. The Chinese characters are always about what do you need to do. It's in that middle focus. How do you have to time these things? And it actually says I have the conditions are on top of it. The conditions are it's almost sense underneath this human perspective underneath, which breaks open to the character of break it open to a larger process, and the U is that incomplete thing. I will explain that a little bit better into detail with the sounds. The K, we know already, it means what in the physical space. It starts from our own vision. The Q is, it starts from context, so it more asks the C then at the next is says, okay, what shall I do? Just like every Chinese character says, what shall I do? Try to figure out what you need to do. And just check what's there. And the Q is, so what is the context? For the QUOI now, just to compare it one more time, you have the sounds written down, or the letters written down, Q, O, U, and E. You can translate it off by the O, of course, after that, looking for context, what is really needed at this moment in O, to fill in with U, what can be added, again, via context. The sounds QUOI will, in that way, in that reference point, say, I do not know with K, but I follow it up with W, and I centralize again in A. In combination with that, I also sense what I can get out of it. And that's not really different from the Chinese. I will sense what I can get out of it is in that sound combination QUOI, also available and very visible. QUOI here is written as K, U, and A, so both in the underlying self-pushing level where you see the things as they are, so I decide what is incomplete, and I also consider it okay to use. With the W, I also will sense of if it's okay. And the background of the sign also says, but there are certain conditions. The conditions is the top character, which is the norm, that says, okay, the Da is, you should give it progress, you should make it, be able to make it bigger, that it will fit into the system, while QUOI is the incomplete material. So even when I dig into complete material, I will sense if it's okay, and I give it a norm, okay, but here it is possible to give it really a sense of progress. It is useful, so I can use it to uplift something, someone, or I can uplift also certain qualities. Worth it or not, it's your opinion that it's worth it. That's what the word says. And so basically, both words are the same. The Chinese word actually said, okay, I know there's a doubtful thing, and I make a choice in context that I indeed will bring it about. The QUOI in the French word also has this doubtful word, but it's also sense, okay, but what do I really need? And again, it looks for what do I need in context so that it can become useful. So it's just a slight difference, a subtle difference in the timing process, and you also have it in a slight intonation as well, but they can be compared in these foundations in that way well. I hope you understood now the differences between the also the three levels of perspective in this perspective, and there's some books to guide you even further into the examples of how you can approach the letters and letter logic behind it. There's some Facebook group too, there's some website too where you have a list of words, or just now and then a list of theory as well. Was it now clear enough that K was the question mark in space? So basically asked what. The C was the approach that you define what you know or not know with a little bit more estimation. And the Q really gives you the cue and gives you the access point that you also look for context. If you find the context, you can also have things that you don't know, they are not so complete, and you can still use them, also like in the Chinese word of QUOI. Okay, thanks again, bye.